Good morning, everyone. At this moment, place all electronic devices to vibrate or silent mode. Welcome to the Committee of Governmental Operation. If you'd like to submit testimony, you may send it to testimony@council.nyc.gov. Again, that's testimony@council.nyc.gov. Thank you for your cooperation. Chair, we are ready to begin.
Good morning. I'm City Council Member Sandra Ong, Chair of the Committee on Governmental Operations. At today's hearing, the committee will be conducting oversight on appointing and supporting New York City's community boards. Community boards are designed to give members of the community a voice in what's going on in their local area. They allow local residents to provide input in everything from liquor license applications to local development projects. They're also one of the ways for everyday New Yorkers to provide feedback on how effectively public services are being provided. To be truly representative of their communities, boards should look like the communities they represent. For too long, community boards have been older, whiter, more male than their communities they represent. Public housing residents, renters, and young people have traditionally been underrepresented on community boards. But that is slowly changing. A ballot measure passed overwhelmingly by voters in 2018 requires borough presidents to appoint community board members to seek out individuals from diverse backgrounds to serve on boards. We're here today to check on the progress that borough presidents have made accomplishing this goal, and to discuss what roadblocks they are facing in fulfilling the all-volunteer positions with individuals from different backgrounds that has not been traditionally been represented on community boards. The boards that the borough presidents nominated to serve on community boards do not need to have a particular qualification or expertise. They just need to care about the issues relevant to the community and be willing to devote several hours per month to meetings and educating themselves about the issues before the board. But in order to do the important work of community boards, we need to ensure they have resources and support that they need. I look forward to hearing from district managers about what their individual boards need to be successful in this new era of Zoom, hybrid, and in-person meetings. And with that, I want to thank members of the public and representatives from Borough President's Office, the Civic Engagement Commission, and the Office of Information and Technology. I especially want to thank all the individuals who have volunteered their free time to serve on these community boards. Lastly, I want to thank CJ Murray and Erica Cohen for the central staff, their work in putting this together, as well as my staff, Alexander Hart, my chief of staff, and my communications director, Shane Miller, for their assistance. I will now turn it over to Committee Counsel CJ Murray to swear in the witnesses.
Thank you, Chair. Our first panel today will include representatives from the Civic Engagement Commission and the Office of Technology and Innovation. Before we begin, I will administer the affirmation. Panelists from the CEC and OTI, please raise your right hands. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth before this committee, and to respond honestly to council member questions? Thank you. You may begin your testimony.
Good morning, and thank you, Chair Ung and members of the Committee on Governmental Operations for holding this hearing and for the opportunity to submit testimony about the support provided to community boards by the Civic Engagement Commission, commonly referred to by the acronym CEC. Chair Ung, I also want to echo your thanks to all of the individuals who serve on boards all across the city. I think they provide a really important service, and it is a volunteer position. So just want to hold that up. I'm really delighted to be here again, nearly 1 year since last testifying before the committee about the role that CEC plays within our city. And as you know, the charter grants the CEC broad authorization to support civic engagement throughout the city in partnership with community organizations and civic leaders in the public and private sectors. The charter also defines specific programs and activities that CEC is to create and support, including citywide participatory budgeting, language assistance at poll sites, and assistance to community boards. Pursuant to Mayoral Executive Order 88, Democracy NYC is also a program of the Civic Engagement Commission and works to increase voter participation. The charter requires the Commission to provide assistance and training to community boards. The Commission provides support for identifying and providing access to urban planning and land use professionals, and these professionals have no involvement in the land use proposals being considered by community boards. Providing services and tools to address the needs of individuals with limited English proficiency, training in the use of technological tools, and providing guidance on uniform meeting procedures. Training sessions offered by the Civic Engagement Commission are not mandatory for board members and complement the training sessions coordinated by borough presidents. I also want to clarify that the Civic Engagement Commission does not have an oversight role, and we don't require anything of boards. We just offer specific support. And as it pertains to support of community boards, the CEC has continued to expand the breadth of our work since we last spoke before this committee in April of 2022. Between the agency's inception in 2019 and the end of fiscal year 2022, we have served nearly 1,000 community board members by providing trainings in many topics. These include community board committees, how to conduct efficient meetings, motions and amendments, nominations and elections, citywide secretary workshop, and these are all related to parliamentary procedures. We had a workshop on conflict resolution and also primer on public engagement. In the summer of 2022, the Civic Engagement Commission hired our first community board advisor, Benjamin Solitaire, who's seated next to me, to coordinate and manage programming for our work to support community boards. And since Benjamin came on board, he's been focused on building relationships with district managers citywide, attending borough board meetings, reviewing prior trainings and prior needs assessments, including the Future of Community Boards report by the Future of Community Boards Working Group. Since submitting our annual report to the Council in September 2022, the CEC has also held additional training sessions for community board members, including understanding the city budget in partnership with the Independent Budget Office, using the Open Data Portal in partnership with the Office of Technology and Innovation, and the Power of Youth in partnership with New York City Youth Agenda. In the area of language access, the CEC provided all 59 community boards with access to language line accounts with online, on-demand telephonic interpretation in over 200 languages. We also worked with OTI, the Office of Technology and Innovation, to produce a citywide language map that provides boards with information about the top 5 languages spoken in their community district. This resource is a first of its kind and has been published on the Commission's website for public use. And the map can be found on our site, nyc.gov/CEC. The CEC also created a community board resource page on our website to provide easy access to our archives of prior workshops. We've published content on social media encouraging New Yorkers to apply to serve on their local community board, along with educational information on the role that community boards play in our city. In the coming months, we plan to conduct a robust series of trainings and support efforts for community boards, including following up on our youth engagement workshop, which was a top interest indicated in the 2020 needs assessment, and in service of continuing efforts to engage more diverse communities in the work of community boards. We'll be holding workshops in partnership with the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities, which will focus on improving disability access, with topics such as disability etiquette and awareness, document accessibility and accessible virtual meetings. We'll also be hosting land use workshops with the Association of Neighborhood and Housing Development around equity and land use decisions, as well as updated workshops from the Department of Housing Preservation and Development on fair housing and affordable housing. Recognizing that there will be new board members onboarded this spring, we'll also be offering another series of the parliamentary procedure workshops. In an effort to increase access and participation, we will now be running some workshops during midday, as we'd been holding most of them in the evening, from 12 to 2, which is a practice that we learned from Manhattan Borough President's Office. And we'll also conduct workshops that are targeted to specific committees, such as land use and executive committees, along with just general workshops that any board member may join. Regarding language access, we have a meeting coming up with our language access coordinator on March 9th and members of the Future of Community Boards Coalition to discuss in detail how we can improve access for more of our language communities across New York City. And as you know, in 2020, we conducted a needs assessment with district managers and board chairs. And this needs assessment, we were pleasantly surprised, surpassed our initial goals and participation, with 49 of the 59 boards responding. And we will be conducting a follow-up in the coming months to assess new needs from the boards. Finally, we're working with OTI and the Department of Citywide Administrative Services to explore the possibility of making several of the EEO trainings that are easily available, making them more easily available to all community board members, including sexual harassment prevention, the LGBTQIA, the power of inclusion training, and Everybody Matters, the EEO and diversity inclusion training. These trainings are required for New York City employees, and many boards have expressed interest in providing these to all board members, not just to their paid staff. The CEC is proud to work with community boards, and we are also proud to work with our fellow city agencies, such as the Community Affairs Unit, the Department of City Planning, the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs, the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities, OTI, the Office of Management and Budget, and DCAS. And we're looking forward to collaborating with everybody to provide more resources to community boards and support their needs. And I just want to thank everyone and thank you for the opportunity to speak about the work of the CEC, and look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you for your testimony. I just have a few questions. And thank you for the programming that you have listed out. Just in terms of the land use matter, is there any technical assistance for land use matters if a community board member is requesting it? And if so, what does that look like?
So far, what we've been able to do is provide a directory of independent consultants that boards may consult. And that has been the degree to which we've been, and the charter charges us with providing these in a neutral manner. So we provided that to all the boards. And we have not received specific requests for technical land use assistance. And in the future, we're happy to talk with boards should that request arise.
So thank you. So independent consultants, so these independent consultants, would the community board members need to pay for that? Like, how does it work? Do they just place a phone call to these independent consultants?
The directory provides a list of MWBE consultants, so they would need to be paid through the board's budget in order to use their services.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Also, the charter says CEC is supposed to develop and provide technology training to community boards. So what does that look like again?
Yeah, we've been working with our city agency partners in this area, and all of the areas that we're providing trainings for community boards. We actually work very closely with agencies that have overlapping missions. So in this particular area, we've been in close coordination with OTI from the beginning, and we made sure, for example, during the pandemic, we coordinated, and OTI was very active in providing WebEx training as an example. Additional tech tools include the language line, which overlaps with language access and tech tools, as well as the language access map. In additional trainings about technology, some of the areas that community boards did request training in is like social media training as an example. So we can, in the future, work towards providing that. Again, we'd like to work closely with OTI just to make sure we are, staying in our lane and not duplicating anything that they may have be planning as well. I don't know if anyone wants to add it.
So if OTI could add to, so what type of assistance have OTI provided? For example, if the community board members or district managers, for example, want to know how to better use social media or how to use open portal, how does that work?
Hi, good morning, Chair, and good morning, council members. The social media division is not currently under my purview, so I can't speak specifically to that, but I do know that OTI does offer training for many services, such as they make training available for the portal, open portal data, so they can collect data from there, Beta NYC, so they can get district snapshots of their community boards. And if there are specific needs for training, OTI would take that back and have an internal review and make those trainings available.
So if a community board member or district managers, contact OTI if they don't know how to use the open portal or they have issues, connecting with open portal, would it be something that OTI could walk them through the process?
That's correct, Chair. We do provide regular training for open portal data, 101 training, and should there be a need for follow-up and additional training, that is correct, we would provide that service.
Great, thank you. And do you know how many community board members or district managers have been using this service?
I don't have that readily available. We can follow up with you.
That'll be great. I do have some questions about language access. As I heard from the testimony that CEC provides access to all the boards to the language line. So just practically speaking, how does that work out? If there was a community board meeting which required probably more of it, if it required, let's just say, in terms of if there was let's say sometimes there's a meeting or some agencies presenting to the community board and to the public, how does that information get translated in those meetings?
The specific scenario you're mentioning is a scenario in which community boards would have to contract with a translator to be present in those meetings and provide live interpretation. So the service that CEC is providing is a service that is telephonic interpretation that boards may use if a district manager, for example, gets a phone call from a constituent and doesn't speak the same language. So that latter is the service that CEC is providing. Again, the boards have the ability to hire the translators to come and serve in their public meetings, and that's part of what we want to explore further with the Future of Community Boards meeting that we have coming up next month, is just to have a better understanding of what's happening on the ground as far as providing translations. I believe that many of the boards are actively working to provide sorry, I should be careful in my language. Interpretation. They are providing translations, for example, of Spanish in their materials, written translations. We are not sure at this point how many boards are using live interpretation in their public meetings, as an example.
So does CEC provide assistance with the written translations?
With the written translations?
Yes.
No, that is not something we do.
Okay, so just to summarize, CEC provides assistance with giving the boards the language line access.
That's right.
And that's the extent of what CEC right now provides.
That's right, and also the planning tool of the language access map. And in the past, we've provided training on language line, as well as just thinking broadly, helping boards plan around language access as well.
Thank you. We've been joined by my colleague, City Council Member Lincoln Ressler, and I'm happy if you have any questions right now.
I was just, thank you so much, Chair Ung. I was just reading Dr. Saeed's testimony, and it is always good to see you. Thank you for your service to the people of the City of New York. I have a great deal of respect for you, and it's good to see you, Ben. Similarly, appreciate your great service. I have to admit, I struggle to understand how responsibilities are split between the mayor's office and the borough presidents in supporting the community boards. Could you help me break down what's the CEC responsible for? I believe it had been CAU previously, but what's CEC responsible for relative to what is the responsibility of the borough presidents?
Sure, I can try to help you with that. So the borough presidents are responsible for appointing the board members, and as you know, they work closely with council members. CEC has no appointing authority. We also don't have the authority to mandate trainings for board members. Our services and our trainings are really, they're provided as, additional support for what borough presidents are already providing to community boards. My understanding is that when new members are appointed, each borough president offers them some orientation and trainings. And so what we're trying to do is complement that and deepen the knowledge that is being provided in that initial orientation.
There's no centralized support for IT, for HR, for any support for community boards. And so they're left on their own to navigate these issues. I have one community board in my district that's had the same district manager for 40 years, since before I was born, just to give you a sense of my age. They're going through a search right now, and they have one person left in the office. They haven't been able to sign any contracts because they only have one employee. Mox has been confused and confounded by how to help them through Passport and even approving things like getting bottled water delivered to their office, the jugs of water, because they only have one person to sign for contracts. And then there's no technical assistance or support or help in them navigating it. They're just off on an island. And I just struggle. Either we need to empower the borough presidents to have resources to provide centralized support for our community boards to help them through HR issues, IT issues, fiscal issues, or CEC needs to take responsibility for it. But asking these entities to figure it out on their own doesn't make any sense to me and doesn't seem to be working all that well. I mean, I could go through other examples. I have a tremendous community board in my district that, puts out the best statement of priorities every year about expense and capital priorities. They are rigorous and thoughtful. And we haven't gotten approval for their district manager to take on that role. She's been working in a lower staff position, has been promoted, but can't get it approved for her to be district manager it's been years. So I wonder, could you elaborate on your thoughts here? Do you agree that there's a need for more centralized support, and whose responsibility should it be to provide that kind of support and technical assistance?
I certainly agree that boards need more support, for sure. I think that when I first assumed this responsibility to be the executive director of the CEC, we did go around to each borough president office to try to get a better understanding of what they're doing, for boards in terms of the areas you mentioned, HR, finance, and I think that borough presidents are providing support in those areas. And my rough impression, and just cursory impression, is that they're not necessarily all doing the same things in every borough, right? So that's something for us to look at. The processes of appointing and serving boards vary by borough president office. So we may want to look at that a little bit more. And then on the tech, I don't know if Deputy Commissioner, you want to speak to some of the tech support needs that OTI provides for?
Sure. Good morning, Council Member. So OTI has a charter that is meant to provide the City of New York with IT services and support. Uniquely in my position, I'm responsible for infrastructure management. I guess the vast majority of our modern life today supports and resides on infrastructure, so it's quite a big portfolio. We do provide this service throughout the City of New York in various forms, including the community boards. Now, typically, most agencies that we support have local IT staff that actually cater to the day-to-day needs and their operations of the local particular agency. And when they have a need for additional services from OTI, such as something more complex or something that is interdependent with other agencies, they would typically reach out to OTI through the citywide service desk. As it relates to community boards, what's unique about the setting with community boards is, in addition to The general support that we provide to the various agencies within the city, we have a dedicated IT person just for the community boards in addition to the pool of members.
One person for 59 community boards, is that what I heard?
That's correct. One person
Yeah. So look,
dedicated in addition to the pool of members that service the rest of the city. So we actually cater to them individually in addition to the general support we provide to the rest of the city.
59 offices for one person is, you know, seems like a very modest staffing ratio to me. I would just say this, Dr. Said, I appreciate your response, but I don't believe that we provide any resources to the borough presidents to provide this work. I think we should. I don't know if my borough president would agree with me, and I agree with whatever he says, but that was a joke. Thank you for laughing, Sandra. No, but seriously, I don't know what Borough President Reynoso would say, or Levine, or Richards, or Gibson, but I do think we should be providing dedicated personnel to support the HR operations, the IT operations, the fiscal operations of these community boards, because they are on an island and they don't have the support they need. And we have folks here from CB12 and CB4, and I'm sure other great community boards in Brooklyn who do phenomenal work and who I have the utmost respect for, the staff and the board members themselves, who are volunteers who bring rigor and creativity to making our neighborhoods better, but we don't provide them the support they need. And, you know, I would strongly encourage the CEC to work with the council to dedicate resources to the borough presidents, supplemental new resources to actually support this work, because I don't think it's happening right now, certainly not adequately. If I could just, Chair Ung, have one more question. Thank you very much. Two related questions, actually, if it's okay. One is, I think I heard you say, Dr. Said, that you're not sure of how many community boards are accessing the CEC language access services. Just you're aware that it's made available, but we don't have data to inform how frequently they're utilized?
I was referring actually to the land use consultants. We do have a way to track the use of Language Line, and so far it's been limited usage.
Any more specifics you can share?
I don't, the number that we had in our annual report.
The last reported number was 30.
Yeah.
Had used it, I guess, at least once.
In a year, or in
Yeah, that was in the last annual report, so yeah.
30 times in a year?
Yeah.
So each one half of community boards use Language Line once in the course of a year.
So I want to just explain that a little bit more,
Sure.
if you don't mind. The use of Language Line requires people who are limited English proficient to know that boards exist. It requires people to know that the services that boards provide and that they can call their board to get help on something.
Right.
And I think we have a lot of work to do to educate the general public about, and to do that outreach in a language-sensitive way, that boards exist and they're a resource for communities, right? Because in providing the Language Line resource, it's great because all agencies have access to Language Line, so we thought it was important for boards to get it as well. However, there needs to be that additional layer of education, and I think we're all collectively responsible for that.
Yeah.
So that to me kind of accounts for low numbers, as well as the fact that we started this during the pandemic, and a lot of community board district managers were not in their offices.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, look, there's 10 meetings a year for 59 community boards, so there's 600 meetings a year around the city. 30 uses of Language Line is
It's
pretty
quite low.
quite low. So I agree with your assessment of the barriers that we face, but it's a pretty crisp indicator that we are failing to reach English language learners and immigrant communities in the ways that we should be. The last thing I just want to ask on, I hope that the pandemic silver linings, that one of the pandemic silver linings is the kind of long-term kind of hybrid solutions for community boards. I believe that every community board meeting should be streamed, and it's critically important to have a record of those meetings that people can view online, and that for everybody who's working, and it's so hard to make it to meetings, that they can enjoy and be a part of them from home. Is the CEC intending to put out any guidance about kind of long-term recommendations for community boards around hybrid meetings moving forward?
You want me to?
Yeah, good. Why don't you start?
Thank you for that. In the immediate term, as we mentioned, we are going to be holding trainings on disability access virtually, both in documents and on how to hold virtual meetings so that they're accessible to everybody. And then we will be conducting another needs assessment. We did one in 2020. Obviously, it's time for a new one to examine what their needs are exactly in that area. And then I hope next, in the coming cycle in 2023, fall, that we'll hold smaller cohorts meetings with community boards. We've been holding them citywide or borough-wide, but I'd like to start meeting more individually or maybe with 2 or 3 to find out what their exact needs are so we can do an examination of how to best serve them virtually as well as in person.
I appreciate the technical assistance. I really think we need crisp guidance for every community board in the city and the expectation for hybrid meetings. That should be our standard, and we should help support community boards to make that happen.
So just to answer that, on the legal side, because I think part of that is legal guidance. So we have worked with the law department on that question to share guidance with community boards on how to conduct these meetings. And we also, the law department coordinates with the borough president councils on giving boards this kind of guidance. And we had sent out some guidance around it before, and we can reshare that and share it with you as well.
We also been joined by my colleague Shahani Hanif, and I believe she has a few questions.
Thank you so much, Chair, and Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Sarah Saeed, and welcome to the administration. So I'll jump right into it, and apologies for my delay coming to this hearing. The charter requires that you provide services to the community boards to address the needs of limited English proficient individuals. However, I consistently hear from the 3 community boards that I represent, Brooklyn Board 6, 7, and 12, about the difficulties they've had in securing interpretation services. Could you walk me through what specific services you all provide?
Sure, I can start and invite both of my colleagues to add. So one of the services, as was already mentioned, and was the provision of Language Line. We noticed that while city agencies have access to Language Line, but boards did not, so we started that process of giving them each an individual access number that if they had a constituent calling, the district manager would be able to, get live interpretation telephonically. We also worked to create a map so that district managers and boards could become more aware of the language diversity in their communities and start to plan around language access for their community members. And what am I leaving out, Benjamin? I'm sorry.
I certainly hear that across the board, across the city, that language access is a key element. And with our limited resources, we are moving forward with a meeting on March 9th with some of the district managers from the Future of Community Boards report to talk more specifically about what their needs are. And
What's happening on March 9th?
we have a meeting
meeting.
with some of the district managers to be more specific about how we can help and what their needs are regarding translation and
So since the CEC had been tasked with interpretation, I guess, providing maybe a guide with this map and then access to the Language Line, how many boards have used the Language Line services? Is that being tracked in any way? Or have there been maybe quarterly meetings outside of the one that's happening on March 9th to check in on community boards and the utility of the Language Line services?
Well, in our last annual report, we reported that there were 30 uses of Language Line, and I think we were just discussing with Councilmember Ressler the need to grow that number, right, and how we can educate communities about that option, that people with limited English proficiency can actually call a board for help, and that there's an interpreter there. I'm not sure how many people know that boards exist and that boards are there to serve them from the language communities, that we are working with. The suggestion about a quarterly meeting is a really great one, so we can definitely look into that. As you know, CEC was established in 2019, and we are literally building the plane, as we say, as we're flying it. So we really welcome, your ideas and suggestions for us about how we set up systems and processes to better serve all New Yorkers. So
Yeah,
that's a great
absolutely.
idea. Thank you so much.
Of course, no, and would love to continue this conversation, particularly because language access is so important for the work that I've been doing in the 39th district. And of course, we've been in contact with community boards, not just the ones I represent, but across Brooklyn to better understand just how we can lean on our community members to provide those services. And so for Language Line, is there an option for interpretation equipment, or is the idea that the person who needs interpretation is on a phone receiving interpretation while they're at the meeting?
No, it's actually just if they're calling as a constituent with a case issue.
I see, to the community board district
Right.
office.
Yeah, so the provision of interpretation services at board meetings, separate matter. We haven't used Language Line for that purpose.
What's happening at the meetings?
That is left up to the individual boards to decide what languages, they would need to provide interpreters in, because it varies across the city. So anytime boards have talked to us about that piece of it, and the meeting on March 9th is to further explore that, but it is left up to the individual boards to provide that.
Chair, I have a few more questions, if you would grant me the permission. Thank you. So that's really good to know, but of course concerning to know, because the priority should be that the community board meetings, which I consider the gateway to local democracy, should be equipped with robust interpretation services, whether that's ensuring that there's interpretation equipment and robust outreach to make it known. And I'd be curious what the city's plans are to make known that community boards exist. Community boards are where you can get started on the issues that matter most to you and get connected to your council member, get connected to your neighbor who cares about climate equity and sanitation pickup on your block and all the other matters. So curious to know how much money is allocated per community board for interpretation and translation services. Is that coming from a pot of money, or is that assessed by each community board? And what's the range of funding that community boards are spending on interpretation and translation?
I would defer to the Office of Management and Budget on the exact amount. My general understanding is that boards are given an OTPS budget and have the discretion to use those resources for their own priorities.
Understood. But from conversations you've had, does it look like community boards are spending maybe $1,000 per month?
I
Or-
actually don't
Okay.
know, I'm sorry.
And then, so just to clarify, community boards are sort of left on their own to determine how it is that they want to provide interpretation and translation, how it is to do outreach to communities who've not been engaged or involved as either members of the board or in attendance to be there for the public portion and to raise their issues. That is left to the community boards.
That's correct. I mean, we have worked on trying to raise awareness about boards and also tried to raise awareness about the application process to serve as members. Boards do their local outreach to their communities. And I think the provision of the language access map was meant to be like a resource to sort of systematically think about who are the language communities in my district and how can I better, begin to do or continue to do outreach to these communities.
Understood. So I hope that the meeting that's coming up on March 9th will elucidate further just the incredible need and the urgency around these services to be equipped at the meetings that take place. I mean, I think our community board meetings are where we could perfect what deep community engagement and language justice could look like in our public meetings. I mean, I know how hard they are. I used to organize at CAB where we used to run meetings in 3 Asian languages, and we used to begin the meeting in one of the Asian languages and then interpret simultaneously. And doing that work takes an amount of expertise that requires rehearsals and agenda and this cohesion among all the facilitators. So I recognize how much of a challenge it is, but also we'll continue to push on the urgency to bring in our neighbors, particularly as we continue to live through COVID and COVID recovery, and want folks across our neighborhoods to be engaged in the political facets of our communities. And then, one piece of legislation that I've been pushing for is the creation of an Office of Language Translation and Interpretation. This is Intro 570, and several community boards have endorsed that piece of legislation. But hearing your responses really shows the critical nature of why we need to be more cohesive around prioritizing language access services in these public meetings. And I again urge that we take seriously the opportunity for community boards to be where we pilot and expand on what language justice could look like in our easiest, I would say, this should be the easiest opportunity for our neighbors to enter local democracy. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. I'd be happy to also talk with you further just in the idea of piloting and expanding to understand better what the boards you specifically named are looking for support with, and see if there is a way for us to collaborate with them.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you all for testifying today. I think, from so far this hearing, we are pointing out the need to have language justice in our community boards. And I do have I just have a question. It's a more general question, Dr. Said. How do you envision CEC, if like, for example, budget wasn't necessarily a issue, how actually do you envision CEC working better with the community boards?
I think as we are just beginning, there's a lot of opportunity for us to learn from best practices of what's, borough presidents have already done, and also working with our city agency partners. I mean, I think the introduction of term limits also has made it so that we have more and more new people coming into the board space, right? And I think there's a lot of opportunities to train people and make them aware of even basic meeting procedures, right? And because diversity necessarily means that people are coming to these spaces with very different understandings of how you operate in a public meeting. So I think we've started. We're kind of like maybe in like toddler stage now, but to really grow the types of trainings we're providing is something that I think we could do, and also to strengthen and collaborate with borough presidents to make sure that we're reaching all of the new board members, as an example, to make them aware that we're providing these trainings. I'm also going to ask Benjamin if you want to comment on anything about like vision and what you see.
Yeah, I think just to touch on the language access issue, which I think we understand is definitely as urgent as you say, and we've heard that from the DMs, and we're hoping that the meeting that we're coming up will actually provide some direct avenues and direction to take in that we can actually move forward with. As we do the trainings, we are trying to make sure they're accessible to as many members as possible. We're with the disability access specifically, but trying to see what times of days are important. We've been meeting with the borough boards. We've met with Manhattan and Queens, meeting with Brooklyn tomorrow morning. So that's a way to get to know people and trying to get out there more on an individual board basis. Like I said before, some of our trainings maybe being targeted towards a small cohort so that we can get to know them better and more direct access and become a more trusted partner with them, and then advocate for their needs citywide.
Great, thank you all for your testimony.
Thank you. Our next panel will include representatives from the borough president's offices. From the Bronx Borough President's Office, we have Deputy Bronx Borough President Janet Piguero, who is joining us via Zoom. From the Manhattan Borough President's Office, we have Director of Community Affairs, Tricia Shimamura, who is here with us in person. And from the Brooklyn Borough President's Office, we have Director of Community Boards, Carol Ann Church, who is also joining us via Zoom. Before we begin, I will administer the affirmation. Panelists, please raise your right hand. I'll read the affirmation once and then call on each of you individually for a response. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth before these committees and to respond honestly to council member questions? Janet Piguero. Oh, hold on while we unmute you. Go
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Thank you. Tricia Shimamura. And Carol Ann Church. Sorry. Let us unmute you. Go ahead.
Yes, I do.
Great, thank you. So we'll hear from Janet Piguero first, followed by Tricia Shimamura, and then Carol Ann Church. After that, we'll open it up to council member questions. Janet Piguero, you may begin when ready. Bear with us while we unmute you again.
There we go.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good morning, and thank you, Chair Ung and the members of the Committee on Governmental Operations for convening this hearing today. I am Deputy Bronx Borough President Janet Piguero, testifying on behalf of Bronx Borough President Vanessa L. Gibson. The task of supporting the Bronx's 12 community boards is an essential function of our office and one that we are continually working to improve, but also look to the administration for more technical assistance and stronger support in order for us to reach our mission of community involvement and local democracy. This year, our office has transitioned to an electronic application portal that will help streamline the appointment process. The electronic application provides broader access to our residents, will improve collaboration with the council members by providing real-time updates, and will improve the office's ability to compile the annual community board demographics report. Additionally, we offer the application in Spanish, the only borough to do so. We're conducting outreach through the Spanish language press to ensure that we are engaging all communities. Our goal is to recruit residents who reflect the diversity of the Bronx, and that includes the 46% of Bronxites who speak Spanish at home. These new processes will enable us to accomplish this and give more people the opportunity to apply, highlighting the need of the administration's support and supporting more language access and support for our community boards. Furthermore, we are aiming to recruit and encourage a larger youth participation with the promotion of our online portal, conducting social media outreach, and working to directly reach our students via our education and public school advocates and stakeholders. Since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, our community boards have been nimble and made great strides with holding meetings remotely and live streaming them. Though this has brought some positives, it's also brought some challenges. In the post-pandemic period, moving to a hybrid model can be a way to find a common ground while still adhering to the New York State Open Meetings Law. Continuing hybrid meetings will require more investments in technology to help the boards maintain this option. We've had conversations with BronxNet, our local news media outlet, to improve the board's access to streaming, broadcasting, and recording, but this is not a complete solution. The city should do more to fund the technology and services required for the boards to be able to stream and record their meetings. This could include cameras, microphones, and internet hotspots, as well as the training to operate these technologies appropriately. We hope that OTI will be able to fulfill this role. Another challenge that the community boards are facing has to do with location, both their offices and their meeting spaces. Meeting spaces need to be large enough to handle a full community board or committee meeting, be accessible to the members of the public, and be able to be equipped with AV technology and internet access. Presently, at least 4 boards in our borough are seeking new district office space. We're asking DCAS to work with our boards to provide available space and additional support to accommodate this process. These efforts are highly supported for other agencies, but community boards tend to be forgotten. Another common issue for many of the boards citywide is that members do not have the requisite planning experience to evaluate land use proposals that come before them. Boards require access to planning services to assist them by providing professional expertise and guidance on these types of land use issues. This cannot be done solely through DCP, as the boards have to provide an independent recommendation on projects. We propose that the City Council should consider funding for additional planners that will work directly with the boards. Our office hopes to increase the number of trainings that the board members receive and expand our new member orientation. Our office has provided training on numerous topics, but we hope to continue working with DCAS and the Civic Engagement Commission to provide additional opportunities for training. We're asking that the Mayor's Community Affairs Unit update the Community Board Handbook, a vital resource for the board members that has not been updated since 2010. Overall, the city needs to provide more assistance to community boards to help them achieve their essential mission, which is ensuring that the community voices can be heard in our local government. We need to cut through the red tape and help the boards get the resources, training, and services that they need to fulfill their mandates. Together, we can ensure that community boards and the hardworking and passionate board members who fill them work even better moving forward. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Tricia Shimamura.
Good morning, Chair Ung and members of the Committee on Governmental Operations. My name is Tricia Shimamura, and I am the Director of Community Affairs in the Manhattan Borough President's Office. I'd like to submit the following testimony on behalf of Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine, who is unfortunately unable to attend today's hearing. Our full testimony has been submitted as part of the public record. Community boards are one of our city's most local, essential elements of civic engagement and provide a critical voice on issues like transportation, parks and open space, and land use, amongst many other elements of urban living. The Manhattan Borough President's Office is committed to an equity agenda that includes operating a robust outreach program to encourage Manhattanites who have historically been less represented on community boards to apply. Particular attention has been spent on outreach to youth 16 years and older, public housing residents, people holding marginalized identities, caregivers, immigrants, non-native English speakers, people living with a disability, veterans, and other Manhattanites who have long been underrepresented. Our efforts to diversify Manhattan boards are both data-driven and board-specific. Our office utilized a broad range of communication tools in promoting the application process, including partnering with community-based organizations, educational forums, purchasing ads through local news outlets and on social media, as well as running advertisements on Link NYC kiosks throughout the borough. Creating diverse boards that reflect their neighborhoods also means taking a close look at the existing board composition. That is why we asked all applicants, regardless if they were returning board members or completely new, to submit a formal application and to participate in a 2-hour interview process. Applicants were judged based on their ability to communicate with each other, problem solve, find consensus, and identify creative solutions to complex problems. Our outreach efforts proved to be successful in 2022 with 892 applications, among the highest number of applicants ever recorded in Manhattan. We are very proud to report that of the 91 first-time appointees, 70% identify as BIPOC, including a greater percentage of individuals who identify as African Americans, Hispanic and Latinx, and AAPI. 48% of first-time appointees identified as women, 42% identified as men, and 1% identified as gender nonconforming. 26.4% of new appointees are under the age of 30 years old, with 6 individuals falling under the age of 20. And 79% of first-time appointees do not own a car. More information can be found on our website, manhattanbp.nyc.gov. We have taken ambitious steps towards providing additional training and support to our Manhattan community boards. We require all board members to take 3 trainings per year: conflicts of interest, EEO, which is an equal employment opportunity, and implicit bias. Additionally, we held a week-long series of virtual seminars focused on helping professionalize community boards and giving them resources to increase advocacy. Topics included conflict resolution skills, environmental policy, and understanding the city's budget. We also provided specific onboarding training to all new board members, including reviewing HR responsibilities, parliamentary procedure, and conflicts of interest. These onboarding sessions will continue with the 2023 cohort. Additionally, our office has worked to support boards by providing access to MBPO staff and issue area experts, and through our monthly Borough Service Cabinet and Borough Board meetings. Each meeting features speakers focusing on topics relevant to community boards, and time is dedicated to share best practices amongst boards. The pandemic and New York's ongoing recovery continue to present unique challenges to community boards. Subject to the open meetings law, boards have very little notice as to whether or not they can continue to meet virtually, as the decision is dependent on state or city emergency order. This has made it difficult to plan meetings, conduct outreach, or secure venue spaces. When the final emergency order is lifted, the hybrid model will still require a quorum of board members in person and will also require the use of audio and visual equipment to ensure fair participation. Both options will decrease accessibility for community board members and potentially have a negative impact on public participation. In order to mitigate these impacts, it is imperative that all boards receive additional funding for technical equipment and personnel in order to conduct essential business, as well as continued support finding adequate space to conduct in-person or hybrid meetings. We have continued to advocate for increasing the budget for community boards and urge the state to consider amending the open meetings law as it relates to hybrid meetings as we continue to adjust to the new normal. Lastly, there is still much work to be done to make community boards more inclusive and accessible. If community boards are to reflect the diversity and cultural vitality of our city, they will have to be fully language accessible. Language translation services are currently difficult and costly to access, and boards currently manage these services on an ad hoc basis, not as part of regular operations. The city must work to better provide language translation services for community boards, and we must continue to push for a change in culture that incorporates multiple languages as part of regular business. As always, the Manhattan Borough President's Office stands ready to assist the City Council, our fellow borough presidents, and of course our Manhattan community boards in improving representation and expanding support for the sake of our collective future. Community boards provide critical services for our city, and we remain committed to ensuring the future of these services for generations to come.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Carol Ann Church.
Good morning, Chair Ung and Committee on Government Oversight. Thank you for holding this hearing today. My name is Carol Ann Church, and I'm the Director of Community Boards for Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso. Prior to taking this role, I served as the Assistant District Manager for Brooklyn Community Board 2, so I'm very familiar with issues that community boards face. Our boards are a critical link between public and city government, weighing in on everything from small businesses to street safety and the availability of affordable housing. As Director of Community Boards, I'm the point person of contact for Brooklyn's 18 boards. I also oversee the appointment process, sharing the Borough President's goal of ensuring that Brooklyn's boards are as diverse as the population of the communities they represent. We know we have a way to go to achieve that goal. Our office has struggled to quantify this due to a lack of available data, but we are aware that historically board members tend to be older, more likely to own their own home, drive a personal vehicle than the general population. To address this, our office has taken several steps to improve the appointment process. We now utilize an updated application designed to capture additional demographic information, such as more precise age ranges, housing types, preferred transportation modes, educational attainment, and even comfort with technology. This year, we targeted our outreach efforts to two populations that remain underrepresented on our boards: public housing residents and youth. We made contact with more than 150 NYCHA Tenant Association presidents, youth leadership organizations, and our local colleges to enlist their assistance with promoting applications. Our partners at the College of Technology send the application to over 14,000 students. We also met with community-based organizations across the borough and some with citywide impact, such as the Chinese American Planning Council, the Organization of Staff Analysts, 500 Men Making a Difference, and conducted outreach at the central branch of the Brooklyn Public Library. We also advertised the opportunity through media. We did a public television episode. We used the Link NYC kiosk, and did a series of radio, online, and local newspaper interviews and opinion pieces. Our deadline was last Thursday, February 23rd, and we've already started interviewing our applicants. I look forward to doing a robust demographic analysis of the applicants and appointees so we can quantify the impact of these efforts. Our office is also working to codify best practices for appointments. We drafted an interpretive statement on the requirements outlined in the city charter. Our goal is to articulate the standards that can inform the comptroller's periodic audits. All applicants must complete a full application by the posted deadline. Once selected for an interview, applicant must attend, and recommendations from the council members. If an applicant is recommended from a council member, the council member must certify that they attest the applicant meets the qualifications and that their appointment furthers the goal of having a diverse and representative board membership. I know council is also interested in how we support our community boards. This has been a fraught subject for years as borough presidents' offices and agencies have debated their roles and responsibilities, sometimes leaving the boards with nowhere to turn. Our proposed interpretive statement will address this by defining what types of training and technical assistance our office can provide as opposed to what other agencies should provide. For example, the Borough President's Office can provide connections to other agencies, legal perspectives, and training on administrative tools, whereas agencies should provide trainings upon request of their areas of technical expertise. Our goal is to ensure that boards will be able to obtain the assistance they need from the appropriate source. We understand this will require buy-in from the city agencies, and we will continue to advocate for them to have the dedicated staff to provide boards with meaningful assistance. Boards do need the resources to function. Staffing is a particular concern as the board's existing budgets only provide for a minimal number of staff lines and leave little room for competitive salaries, making recruitment and retention of professional staff difficult. Additionally, community board offices must handle tasks with little external support and no dedicated staff. Example, council members' offices rely on a central staff for tasks such as HR, IT, and procurement, but boards have no such resource. Increasing their staff budgets and providing more administrative support would allow boards to be more efficient and to connect more directly with their constituents, encouraging diverse engagement from others, including youth. Advocates have also long been asking for professional planners to support our boards, which we continue to advocate for. The boards need funding to support technology upgrades to facilitate holding and live streaming hybrid meetings, as well as producing non-digital communications such as flyers and mailers, as well as translation services for those materials for their websites and for their meetings. Thank you for your time today and for drawing attention to this very important issue. We look forward to working with your City Council and our fellow Borough President's offices to diversify and offer the support for our community boards.
Thank you. We'll now turn to council member questions for the Borough President's panel. For panelists who are on Zoom, we'll send you a new unmute request, and please just try to stay unmuted throughout the question and answer period. Go ahead, Chair.
Thank you. Also like to acknowledge my colleague Gail Brewer is here today. Gail, do you have any questions first? Yes, feel free to, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Obviously, I have a lot of experience with community boards. So the first question I have is, are the borough presidents, I'm not a big CEC fan. I fought against them when they were being created. I think they're duplicating what you're doing. What do you think?
I'm happy to jump in. So certainly, you know this very well, and we are very much in our office working to expand upon the work that's been done before. We do provide robust trainings. We have extremely high, I would say, expectations for our board members to do mandatory trainings and to then participate in these optional and additional trainings. I think that while I am not the Manhattan Borough President, so I won't speak on his behalf, I will say that I think that from the perspective of the Director of Community Affairs, who works very closely on this process, we're still looking forward to seeing more coordination with CEC to ensure that there is no duplication.
Okay, because it seems to me there is some, and they would give you, if you had some more funding to work on the community boards, you could do it without CEC. Total duplication in my book. Second question is, are you able to have the same demographics? Obviously, this is supposed to be the law, but not easier said than done. Community board to represent the demographics of the community. Is that happening for all of those who testified today? When you try to make sure that the demographics of the community board represent the demographics, we always did that, and I just didn't know if it's possible to continue to do.
Absolutely. So not only are we using, and this is in the longer version of the testimony, but we use every single data tool that we have have available to us. So U.S. Census Bureau data, data from the New York City Planning Department, to look at as much as possible to assess demographics based on geographical or racial and ethnic breakdown, people who the type of housing that's there, and things like that. But we're also going further than that. Arguably, and trying to understand diversity in other means. People who are caregivers, people who are teachers or working non-salaried positions, people who don't use a car regularly. All these other ways are trying to look at diversity and broadening of voices on our boards. And so we are, of course, always looking for more data-driven tools, and we'll continue to present those demographics as you did. But we are also trying to expand on those voices that have not had yet, we feel, a seat at the table.
Okay. And the other question I have is, 8 years is ridiculous. You need at least 12. So my question is, if there is a charter, mayor, I guess, or done by the council, would you support at least 12 years for the members of the board?
For me, unfortunately, since I'm not the borough president, I'm not able to speak on where he falls on that at this time. But I'm certainly willing to bring it back to him.
Okay, because are you finding that leadership changes quickly because of the 8 years? Is that something that's of concern to people? It's you can't learn land use in 8 years. There's no way.
I think the boards are really starting to realize that there are term limits in place. We're seeing more conversations about this. Of course, it's not going to impact. It won't really impact them for a couple more years. But we are seeing anecdotally, I'm seeing some boards start to realize that this is the case and really think carefully about leadership pipelines, about committee leadership, about how they start to incorporate some new voices earlier so that they can learn some of those leadership skills. So it's been really interesting to see, but I'll certainly bring back.
It might be interesting, but it's not successful, in my opinion. Manhattan has more land use than any other borough combined in terms of ULURPs, and so that's particularly where I think you need the 12 years. In terms of technology, is that something that the board still need, or do you think that, I know there was a little bit extra funding that Mayor de Blasio put in, some purchase technology, is that still an issue?
Still, I believe yes. We testified in the testimony, we say that boards are still needing technological support, although I wouldn't classify it all with one specific need in mind. As you know, every board is a little different. Some boards are in need of personnel to help run that technology. Some boards are in need of actual equipment. Some boards are still trying to figure out how they're going to manage in a hybrid setting, and those needs are still a little unclear. So what is clear is that more support, financial support, is needed for these boards.
Okay, and then just finally, obviously you have 800, 900 applicants. Many of them are not going to get on just because there's no room. Do any of the borough presidents have ideas? I did not, as to how to handle those who are qualified, just no space, to keep them involved in their communities.
Yes, I'm very excited about what we're thinking about with these folks. I always look at the appointment day as a day where it's a little sad for me because you say yes to 300 people, but you say no to, in our case, nearly 600. We are actively talking about opportunities like a volunteer corps where you become part of something that you regularly volunteer in your communities. There's of course other appointments that can be done. There are other ways of engagement. I would like to see us continuously engage with those folks so that we don't just say no and say reapply again next year. So hopefully more to come with that.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
And just for the panelists on the Zoom, please feel free to go ahead and respond to any of those as well.
Thank you, Councilmember Gil Brewer. Great to see you. I just want to shine some light on the item regarding expansive view on diversity. The Bronx Borough President's Office, as we mentioned earlier in our testimony, this is the first year that we developed an online portal, and we've also translated our community board's application into Spanish to ensure, again, that we speak
I was listening to your excellent testimony, yes.
Thank you. And so, 40% of our Bronxites speak Spanish at home. And currently right now, the language accessibility, and again, I give the borough president and myself give huge thanks and shout outs to the city council members and this committee for, ensuring that when the administration did provide testimony, that we are advocating for language access. That is a huge, huge element. It is one thing that we're doing our job and our due diligence and ensuring that our applications are available in Spanish. Some folks just feel more comfortable with their native language, and that helps bridge the gap. But also there needs to be support. There needs to be live support in order to encourage the involvement of this level of diversity. And I think it's crucial. And we definitely believe that it should be mandatory and something that the administration should deeply consider.
So maybe CEC could be helpful and pay for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to add a couple of things as well. Diversity was just the theme for us this year. Your voice matters was what we said. And in order to reach underrepresented groups, apart from the youth and NYCHA in those broad terms, we reached out to community-based organizations that serve individuals who do not speak English as a first language. Specifically reached out to them so that they can get the word out and possibly have someone who can bridge the gap for their constituents and the community board to join the boards. In diversity, we also spread it to look at housing and transportation modes. Do you bike more often or walk, or do you own a car? We're looking to make sure that all those voices are represented on the boards. Where do you live? Do you live in rent-stabilized housing or market rate condo? We look for every possible area of diversity we're looking at when we review our application process this year. It was a much more robust application in terms of what was being requested demographically. There was one more thing. In terms of technology, having worked at a board for 12 years before coming here, boards need so much more support. CEC does offer some assistance, but that assistance comes with having to have the budget to use it. So that would be reflective of why the usage numbers are so low. It isn't that there isn't a need, it's that the boards do not have a budget in order to take advantage of those services. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess my comment would be literally, I haven't done many, many hearings with translation in the back, with a person, with the technology. When needed, that should be available. And like I said, CEC should pay for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, I'd like to acknowledge Councilmember Carmen Yeager joining us today. I actually do have one follow-up question. How often does the Borough President's Office and CEC connect and communicate regarding working with community boards? Is it, borough president by borough president? Is it, I do think because it's the CEC and really the Borough President's Office that give the most assistance to the community boards in theory. How often do the two group, CEC and the Borough Presidents connect?
Can I go? This is Carol Ann Church. I think I have a good working relationship with CEC, with Ben Solitaire. I recently said to him, hey, Ben, I'm thinking of doing a training for our board members on program evaluation and monitoring. And he actually got that done for us, as CEC facilitated the contract for getting that done. And it was good. So we do interact. He attends our borough board meetings and our borough service cabinet meetings.
Same here. For the record, I just want to share that we do connect and work with our CECs. But I think that this hearing and this conversation has shined a light on what we need to prioritize and what the discussion should be around in terms of additional resources and services and support for our community board members.
I'd probably echo that in terms of general coordination, but I would like to just be very clear on the role of borough presidents. We take the role of training and assistance extremely seriously. So for us, the responsibilities for and the relationship between borough presidents and the community boards is very, very clear. We do not just do appointments. We provide robust trainings. We provide robust support. And I think that while our office is still working on that coordination with the CEC, it's for us very clear what our responsibilities are.
Thank you. And just one follow-up question to all three of you, since this has been brought up so much today about the issue of language justice and language access. How does each of your offices envision, CEC, yourselves, the City Council, New York City, to be more engaging and to be more helpful to the community boards regards to this issue?
I'm happy to jump in because I included it in our testimony. Currently, language translation services for full board meetings, which the council member had referenced before, is something that's done on an ad hoc basis. It is costly, it is difficult to access, and without significant lead time, community boards are truly struggling to meet the needs of these communities. At a bare minimum, we believe that should be what's achieved, and it is just too difficult to do right now. We do believe, as I mentioned in our testimony, that not only should these kind of as-needed translation services be more easily accessible for community boards, but truly we should be doing more to really embrace a multilingual atmosphere on these boards so that, as another member had noted, we change the culture around who's even accessing or engaging with community boards. If more language access is not done, it would be unreasonable to expect people who don't speak English to regularly engage with their community boards when they're looking for resources, when they're looking to take a stand or advocate for something in their neighborhoods. So in addition to creating more, just on a bare minimum, more access in terms of translation services, we should be thinking about other ways to really change the culture around what languages are used in and with our community boards.
I also want to add to that, the lack of language access is a deterrent for local engagement of local democracy. And without it, are we really doing our jobs of encouraging, again, local democracy? And so the fact that community boards have to kind of navigate and figure it out with limited resources is really a deterrent, and it does not speak to our mission. We're looking to serve the most vulnerable New Yorkers by, fertilizing and stabilizing our community boards. And so a huge percentage of our borough does not speak English. And so that completely removes them from the ability of being a part of local democracy and speaking to the changes that are coming to their communities. I know that the city of New York tries to do better when we speak of equity and diversity by ensuring language access through other city agencies, but that same effort needs to be mirrored on a local level through our community boards.
I can only echo my colleagues here, saying that when we talk of civic engagement and we leave out a high percentage of our residents here in New York City, we're not doing a good job. Civic engagement begins, as we like to say, at the community board level. And when our citizens cannot even engage there, they're not going to be voters. They're not going to possibly engage in public works, volunteer opportunities. So the lack of language resources really impacts not just the individual's quality of life, that particular language group, access to resources, it really impacts the way they integrate with society. So it's really critical that we expand language resources.
Great. Thank you all for your testimony. I just want to, great. Colleague has a couple more questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't want to let you go without my fun. I by no means have as much experience in this as my colleague, Council Member Brewer, but I do have some, and in every aspect of my professional and personal life, I've interacted with community boards as a teenage aide to a member of this body, as an aide to a borough president, and as an 18-year member of my own community board, to which I was appointed by 3 borough presidents, one of whom works across the hall from here. And in every single part of that experience, I found that community boards were the very foundation, as the representative of Borough President Levine said, of our community. It's the most important part of government, in fact. And a lot of attention today was paid to membership on the board, which is, I think, very important. But I wanted to ask about the resources for the professional part of the board, the work that the board does as what should be the first place that people in the community turn to for a standard problem like a pothole. And in my communities, I'm very fortunate that I do have boards where people in the community know that they can call the board. But I'm curious, and I'd like all the borough president's offices to answer, if you can, what kind of professional assistance to the problem-solving work that community boards have to do you provide? In any order, I guess the person here. Hello.
Hi, Councilmember. Again, Tricia Shimamura from the Manhattan Borough President's Office. We're very proud of our relationship with our district managers and the professional staffs at every community board in Manhattan. Not only do we've taken a particular eye towards when we meet together, which is on a monthly basis at a minimum with the Borough Service Cabinet meeting, to use those meetings as a way to really check in with everybody, share best practices, give boards the space to strategize together when it comes to shared problems and come out with some really strong solutions. An example is just last month when we were talking about how boards go about publicizing meetings and how they get more members of the public to participate in those meetings. We gave space in our actual meeting for district managers to do a small presentation on the ins and outs of social media, how a flyer should get attention, how to go about formatting it for Link NYC kiosks, who you need to contact in order to get those up on the kiosks, and really do try to give space for those best practices.
I appreciate that very much, but my question really is, so much attention has been paid to the public meetings of the community boards, which is about 1/30 of the month. That's a very important part of what the community board does, but it's one day of the month. The other 29 days, the community board is there doing the work in the community, and I guess the question that I have is, when a community board district manager is reaching out to a city agency and getting a door slammed in its face, which I think we all know anecdotally and in reality it does happen all across the city every day, what assist can a borough president's office give, and what are you doing? Do they have a resource to turn to? And this is for all 3 boroughs that are here. Do they have a place to turn to, and are you able to help them push that door wide open?
We certainly do, and again, in response to that, you do whatever we can to support them. That in those instances, when they come up, we oftentimes make sure and try to ensure that the city agency is then represented at Borough Service Cabinet, so that if they aren't responding or being responsive to a single community board, then they have another opportunity for the issue to be addressed at a Borough Service Cabinet meeting with us in the room. We share our contacts in terms of individuals who we found to be more responsive at various agencies, and we do really try to address it on a case-by-case, community board by community board basis. And we found to be very successful. We regularly talk about the casework and the work that goes on, as you put it, the rest of the 29 days of the month. And are fairly open in terms of our lines of communication with our boards to address any problems that come up.
Let's let the folks from Brooklyn and the Bronx.
I just want to add something. Most of the district managers in Manhattan are either former staff or former interns of mine. They know what they're doing.
I don't doubt that anybody who ever worked for Councilmember Brewer knows exactly what they're doing.
That's right. Thank you, Council Member Yeager. Thank you for the opportunity and thank you for the question. You know, I just want to echo my colleague at the Manhattan Borough President's Office. At the Bronx Borough President's Office, we mirror a very similar structure. From FOIL to COIB to record retentions to Robert Rules of Order, EO, sexual harassment, interview best practices. Just recently, we hosted a 10-hour training for board staff and members on structured interviewing and unconscious bias, and it was very well received. You know, again, conflict resolution, open meetings law, social media usage. But I do want to highlight, and we stress this in our testimony, that the handbook hasn't been updated since 2010. You know, and office staff and board members have turnover, and they really do rely on the handbook, which is completely outdated. And that's, you know, that's the biggest feedback that we receive from our district managers and members alike. So I do want to highlight and amplify that need for the handbook to be updated. It hasn't been updated since 2010.
And what agency produces that handbook?
That's the mayor's office.
CAU.
Community Affairs
Okay.
Unit.
Okay. And Brooklyn?
Brooklyn. So we offer as much support as possible on a daily basis as situations arise. If they don't respond to the district manager and they don't respond to me, then it goes to our chief of staff. Unless someone has a personal relationship, it goes to the chief of staff up to the other agency. We also use our bar service cabinet as a way of getting conversations going, especially when they involve more than one agency, because multi-agency issues can be really difficult to resolve because there's always a gap in between where agency A, you know, begin and end, and agency B picks it up. And so the bar service cabinet can really fill in that gap. So that's how we try to assist the boards. Again, you know, the Borough President Office is not an enforcing agency, so all we can do really is advocate as strongly as possible for our community boards.
Thank you.
And thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now turn to public testimony. We'll be limiting public testimony today to 3 minutes per panelist. For in-person panelists, please come up to the table once your name has been called. For virtual panelists, once I call your name, a member of our staff will unmute you and the sergeant will set the timer and give you the go-ahead to begin. So please just wait for the sergeant to announce that you may begin before starting your testimony. So our first panel will include 3 in-person panelists, Celestina Leon, Sean Campbell, and Jeremy Laufer. Please come up to the table now. Feel free to begin whenever you're ready in whatever order you'd prefer.
All right. Good morning. My name is Celestina Leon, and I'm the district manager of Brooklyn Community Board 4, which serves Bushwick, although today I'm here on behalf of the Future of Community Boards Working Group. This year makes 6 years that I'm the district manager of Community Board 4, and it is about year 3 that I've been working with the working group. Prior to the pandemic, I initiated a conversation among colleagues in Brooklyn about the challenges the community boards face. This eventually became the Future of Community Boards Working Group, which primarily includes district managers citywide. Our first report, you may be familiar with, was published in December of 2021. We also have discussed and continue to discuss land use challenges, district needs, operations. We've heard a lot today about language access and technology. In the past year, we've also established the first website for all community boards. Boards individually have their own website, but our only online presence was under the Mayor's Community Affairs Unit, which as autonomous city agencies, we thought it made sense to have our own presence as a collective. You can now find us at nyc.gov/communityboards. We look forward to continuing the dialogue with our agency partners and the Governmental Operations Committee, and we're excited to share a follow-up report outlining our work over the past year. Today, you will hear from colleagues that have taken the lead on specific challenges. I want to thank them all for their insight and support, and I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to speak as well.
Hello, my name is Sean Campbell, and I'm District Manager of Community Board 14 in Brooklyn, and here on behalf of boards in general to speak about our baseline budget. Community boards are historically under-resourced and have not had a significant baseline budget expansion since 2014, and that's debatable depending on your definition of significant. Staffing needs and responsibilities have nevertheless grown. Future of Community Board working groups participants have reported having challenges with hiring and retaining staff due to budget constraints. The baseline budgets of many city agencies saw double-digit percentage increases in the last decade. The headcount at many of our sister agencies has increased accordingly. For example, from 2001 to 2021, headcount at DOB increased by 138%, DYCD by 131%, Parks by 104%, and good for them, but community boards headcount citywide has decreased in that same time period by 11%. Yet our responsibilities have increased. We've been assigned additional responsibilities for accounting with FMS and Passport. District managers are now agency privacy officers. There have been 8 zoning text amendments in the past 3 years. Service delivery requests are up, and our meetings are held in various combinations of remote, in-person, and hybrid, requiring new technical skills and often equipment. City Council provided 2 allocations of $42,500 in 2018 and 2019, but these were not baseline funds and could not be used to hire staff or make long-term plans. Some boards have addressed these challenges by forming friends of groups, but other boards don't have the capacity or the communities that can pony up for their community boards, and some of us feel awkward about going hat in hand to the communities that we are charged with serving. While the city covers rent costs, the qualities of offices varies widely. One district manager reported not having light switches in their office for a decade, while another has been waiting for over 10 years for their bathrooms to be made accessible. Some districts have meeting spaces, while others must turn to local space, creating additional administrative and budget burdens. Needs vary from board to board, but all boards would increase the number and pay rate for staff. In a time of budget austerity, community boards are a good investment for city dollars. The city has the advantage of 50 community members who serve voluntarily. In 2018, the Charter Revision Commission established the Civic Engagement Commission as evidence that local input is a value that the city espouses. Just last week, the Department of City Planning announced a new Civic Engagement Unit. Are these possibly lost efficiencies when community boards are the established liaison to local communities? Our district offices are already on the ground, and our district needs statements already a well-documented expression of local needs. As the most local city agency, we give voice to the individuals who make up our communities. City agencies have expressed a desire to reach the most local levels and communities. We are their liaison, and the value of this role should be reflected in our baseline budget. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jeremy Laufer. I'm the District Manager for Brooklyn Community Board 7. I have previously testified before this committee and others about our board support for Intro 570, so I could spare you my biography. I join many of my colleagues today to discuss community board resources and needs, but I want to be clear that each of us is an independent agency serving different populations that we're well aware of and geographic areas. Our needs are not exactly the same in all areas. Today, I would like to reiterate our request for assistance in providing interpretation and translation services at the community board level, as well as a request for security evaluations for all of our public offices. In previous testimony, I discussed 2 public meetings in which interpretation was left to our board so that our other agencies could communicate with the public. In October 2020, our board invited DOT to present on major plans to change 2 avenues in the heart of Brooklyn Chinatown. Despite our request for interpretation, DOT informed us that that was entirely up to us. We paid an outside service nearly 5% of our entire OTPS for the year for a single meeting to provide interpretation services. And by the way, DOT did not translate its presentation, so much of it was useless for a huge plurality, if not majority, of our audience. The other meeting was at the request of MTA to inform the community about an elevator installation at the 8th Avenue subway station, again in the heart of Brooklyn, Chinatown. The $50 billion agency refused to provide interpretation and left that to the $250,000 agency. As it was at the end of the fiscal year, we did not have enough money in our budget for the unexpected cost, and we needed to rely on board members to provide interpretation, which is not particularly reliable. Our board holds 8 to 12 public meetings a month. Currently, our need for interpretation is impossible to meet, and it's not like we have been quiet on the issue, having testified before the City Council, requested assistance from the Mayor's Office and the CEC, lobbied borough presidents and other elected officials, and many of us have made it a high priority in our annual budget requests, so far to no avail. We have also recently learned that the Comptroller has created a form to report language access problems with city agencies, including community boards. Ironically, our boards can now be officially reprimanded for not providing the unfounded mandate for which we have been requesting funding and/or resources. Our 59 tiny independent agencies cannot self-fund this mandate. In addition to the necessity for interpretation and translation services for our agencies, I also want to bring to your attention the need for security evaluations for all our offices. Recently, one of my staff members was confronted by an angry patron of the Brooklyn Public Library, with whom my agency temporarily shares a building. Often we are confused for the library. It didn't strike me until recently why the library has a security guard, a resource we do not have. You can read the rest of my testimony. I know I've reached my time.
So, thank you very much. I'm a big supporter of district managers. One question is, when you have translation, it's obviously a human being with the technology to do the translation. And if that was available at your general meetings, not to mention the special DOT or the special occurrences, would that make a big difference in terms of participation at your meetings, number one? And the second issue is just generally technology. This is what I find. It's hard to get space for the meetings. These are the ones that are in person or maybe hybrid. And sometimes you're in a basement, I know there's one basement of a synagogue that has no internet access, no matter what you do. So is the issue of technology generally something that is challenging for you? Those are my two questions.
Thank you. My board is actually quite lucky in that we have a large meeting space in our building. With regard to technology, all of us have 59 different ways in which we are able to provide access. My board uses Zoom. Zoom has an interpretation feature where we have hired, in that particular meeting I mentioned, interpreters who are actually off-site, who were able to provide simultaneous interpretation. Zoom, I assume other platforms, is very helpful in that. But again, we have 59 different systems, and it will require, if we are hiring an outside agency, for my board, that's $300 an hour.
I'd also like to echo my colleagues' comments and say that having translation assistance for our meetings would dramatically affect how folks in our district are able to be involved. We've been exploring ways to mirror the model of the community education councils, and we hope that our upcoming conversation with the Civic Engagement Commission may lead to something more fruitful than what we've been hearing thus far.
Okay. And also, now you each get an urban fellow from Alden Bonilla or from the Fund for the City of New York. Does that work out? How do you use this person, et cetera?
I have 3 planning fellows from the Fund for the City of New York right now, and it works out beautifully in terms of being able to really dig in and dig deep on questions that are pending on the board that we don't have the staff capacity to drill down on. And just quickly on translation services would indeed help us reach a broader audience, and then on-the-spot interpretation services would make that participation meaningful. We've actually had to limit where we hold our public meetings when we have had them in person. We used to bop around our district a little bit more, but now we're kind of in one spot because we know we have the capacity to stream it there.
In reference to the Planning Fellows, we also believe that they hold great support for our district. We have 2 right now. We've worked with the program before, and whenever there are projects that the board would like to move forward with limited staff capacity, I often rely on them to be able to do so.
I just want to reference the Planning Fellows as well. We have one at the moment who's helping our board become a citywide leader on last mile trucking issues, and is also helping us initiate a study of 3rd Avenue, the most dangerous roadway in Brooklyn, because DOT has refused to initiate that study.
If I could quickly add, bringing that Planning Fellows program up to scale citywide is one way that we could have a planning person at each board.
In other words, because they leave after the year, so you'd have to have more funding. That's what you're requesting, to have somebody there on a permanent basis. Is that what you're saying? 'Cause I agree with that.
Even better.
Thank you. You do need a planner. There's no question. Thank you. Another thing CEC could do.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I'm a little biased, but I know Brooklyn has the best district managers of anywhere in the city, and I'm sitting next to Councilwoman Brewer, so I'm going to take some heat for saying that, but I know it's true, and some of you are my friends, and my colleagues, and my home board is here in this building today, so I have to behave. I appreciate, Mr. Laufer, that you know, in your last paragraph that you left off because of time, it sort of hit home because you mentioned my friend and colleague, your friend and colleague, James Davis, and it really did talk about some of the concerns that you bring with regard to your office and security. And this is, again, this is a 59 building problem around the city, where I think the common denominator of a lot of things that we are hearing with regard to security, with regard to staffing, with regard to budgeting, with regard to your interactions with government agencies is, in essence, that community boards are treated as the stepchild of municipal government in a way that doesn't recognize, as Jeremy said, the independence of a city agency. It is a city agency. It's not subservient to any other agency. It's a freestanding, charter-created city agency. So I'd like to just ask a few questions. First of all, to each of you, how many staff do you have, paid staff?
1 full-time, 1 part-time, and me.
Okay.
2 full-time, including myself.
3 full-time, including myself.
Okay. These are city agencies that are responsible for, in some instances, close to 200,000 of our neighbors, and sometimes, because these lines haven't been redrawn in decades, over 200,000 neighbors. They're not equally drawn like political districts. Do you find in your interactions with city agencies, when, from the mundanity of a constituent calling about a pothole to the broader problems like redesigning 3rd Avenue, that, you know, not to pick on any one particular agency, but let's just say DOT, that they treat community boards as a part of the government, or more, let's just give my bias out because this is what I've seen, more as simply a nagging constituent reporting a problem?
Well, you just picked a scab for me. DOT is not my favorite agency. I think you've characterized it very well, that I think they consider community boards more of an annoyance.
We are very fortunate to have a great liaison from DOT at the current time, although I think that it depends and it varies from agency by agency. If you do not have a great relationship with the liaison, you may not get as much done. That being said, in the short-term sense, we're able to address potholes, small-scale issues. When it comes to larger projects, there have been challenges. We've tried to rise above those challenges very creatively, although that has led to us relying on outside sources to be able to come up with studies that we continue to hear need to be done, but we never get a timeline to actually do those studies from the agency themselves. So I think, with very limited means, we've happened to be very creative, but it really relies on our relationship with those agencies to be successful.
I think with most agencies, when it comes to day-to-day service delivery, our rapport is such that we get the assistance on the baseline asks. Where we get into bigger policy or planning, land use changes, zoning, that's where we're treated less like the valuable funnel for public input that we actually are.
Do you find that that before a city agency undertakes a major, depending on what your definition of major is, infrastructure, I won't say improvement, but thing that they're doing in the neighborhood, that there's sufficient consultation for you to be confident that they've taken the concerns of the neighborhood into consideration as they do these projects?
Too often they make their jobs much harder on themselves by not coming to us first or early.
I'm getting nods, and
I share that comment.
I would also echo that comment, and I have a particular policy not to call anything out in specific, but I guess I am. But there is the Parks Without Borders initiative from the Parks Department, and granted, it's amazing. Proposal wants to make landscape design more accessible. However, every neighborhood, every district is different. And when a community board is telling you this is not going to work in a district for very specific safety reasons, they're not just saying it to waste their time. They're saying it to be intentional and to prevent issues further down the line. So again, best intentions can have disastrous results in a district, and we seek to prevent that, and we hope our agency partners will work with us.
Well, now you've picked my scab, because Parks Without Borders is one of the banes of my existence, and they don't. You're right. I mean, I don't want to do the dialogue because this is really supposed to be Q&A, and the bell rang, and the chair's been nice to me. But the city agencies, in my experience, come in and heavy-foot us, big-foot us. And I think wise council members, wise elected officials, I know some of you worked for elected officials. One of you was my colleague 200 years ago here in this body. I think it's to the detriment of elected officials who don't value the community board, because you are the eyes and ears. And when the city agencies come and bigfoot us, I mean, my experience, for example, in 14, also in 12, which we'll hear from in a little while, has been that the city agency has done something, and then it didn't work, and they had to undo it, or they refused to undo it with even ignoring the evidence that it didn't work. I guess the point that just going to, and I'll wrap up, Chair. I guess the point that I'm going to, and as I said, the common denominator, it's this idea that somehow the community boards, as one of you testified, that is more of a hindrance to municipal government rather than a successful arm that ought to be respected. And I think you've seen that in a lot of things. For example, when we did the 42.5 allocations and they weren't baselined, it was almost like a nice little holiday gift, and you try to do something nice for the year, but you can't permanentize an improvement in the agency. And I think it's very important for us as we go into the budget this year, Madam Chair, and I know you're very involved in this, that we push for more resources into community boards so that they can do the jobs that we here rely on you to do. And I'll let the chair have the mic back because we got to move on. But thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for your testimony. I just have one quick question. Earlier, there was testimony that CEC is having their meetings, and there may be a way to mirror that model in terms of language access. Can you explain a little further what that looks like?
Sure. So to my understanding, right now, the community education councils for the Department of Education provide dual language interpretation during their monthly meetings. So we essentially reached out to them to see if we would be able to use the same vendor. I spoke with my local district CEC. Unfortunately, because it's the DOE, that was more bureaucratic than easy to do. So we decided to go the other route that we have, which is working with the Civic Engagement Commission to see if there are other resources, vendors, or potential opportunities, which led to us scheduling a meeting on March 9th to further discuss it.
Understood. So the CEC, they are working the DOE, and it's DOE who's providing that vendor.
Correct.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. We'll now be calling up our next panel, which will be an in-person panel of 2 panelists, Barry Spitzer and Camacho. Please come up to the table now. And after that, we'll be moving to Zoom panelists.
Good morning. My name is Barry Spitzer. I'm the District Manager of Brooklyn's Community Board 12. Thank you, Madam Chair and council members, for taking the time to hold this hearing and listen to testimony. My testimony is going to focus on our autonomy as independent city agencies as established in the city charter. In recent years, it has become commonplace for other city agencies to impose on community boards rules, regulations, and procedures that are entirely made up without any basis in law or it being within their authority to do so. This practice has had negative impacts on our boards, our staff, and our ability to manage our agencies effectively. There are many examples, but in the interest of time, I will just highlight a few. In July of 2019, Brooklyn Borough Hall issued a decree that they will only process PARs, which is planned action reports, if they receive a copy of the board minutes at which the action was presented to and approved by the entire board. Many boards raise objection to this new rule, simply stating that every board operates under their own bylaws and have their own policies and procedures for personnel matters. It took many months for them to acknowledge that indeed the boards have a duty to follow their own bylaws, but the damage was done. Many boards who have filed PARs with OMB were left hanging. Due to these actions, I personally lost thousands of dollars in wages. Another rule that was arbitrarily imposed is the need for a justification letter submitted in conjunction with a PAR. This may seem trivial, but I know from my colleagues that this has already held up some board staff from getting paid. In one instance, OMB approved my colleague's PAR, but Borough Hall asked for a letter of justification, and not wanting to fight the issue, she sent the letter. Borough Hall did not accept it because they now said it needs to come from the chair, and this is for a staff member in the office. So the chair sent a justification in an email on the protest because she told Borough Hall she didn't want to set precedent. Borough Hall again refused to accept it because it wasn't on letterhead. Meanwhile, this staffer, who is not making much to begin with, her raise is being held up for something that Borough Hall had no right to ask for to begin with. Additionally, OMB got into the habit of not honoring the PAR dates boards are submitting. I quote from an email I saw when a board inquired why OMB changed the effective date. The effective date for PARs are either at the time they are signed and approved by OMB or after. I submit, no, they are not. As the agency whose budget it is their decision, not OMB's. By changing the dates, board staff have lost thousands of dollars. I also know of a case that OMB and Borough Hall refused to process a wage increase for a staff member of a board who was going back to school because of the adjustment in the weekly hours. This went on for over a year, was based on nothing, and the staff had lost that money. It is time that these agencies operate within the laws, policies, and procedures outlined in the New York City Charter. I thank the committee.
Camacho, you can go ahead.
Hello, my name is Robert Camacho. I'm the chairperson of CB4 in Bushwick. I've been on the board for 34 years, 5 years as the chair, 4 borough boards, Marty Markowitz, Howard Golden, Eric Adams, and now Antonio Reynoso. So I lived in Bushwick all my life. It's really changing. Nobody wanted to live there. Now everybody want to push us out. We do a lot of work with city agencies and elected officials, but they don't listen to us in regards to issues. As you know, open restaurants, We don't have an input. We're just advisory, so we advise them and they don't listen to us. Park Without Borders, to put these big little fences. Now they throw the dogs over and people are partying at 4 in the morning, then they wonder why, you know. City bikes. That's another issue. They dump stuff on us and they expect us to make miracles. It's all about the money and nothing about the people. So also, I didn't vote for that CEC crap because it's like inventing the wheel. We're starting all over again. Instead of them, our district manager said we have 2 in herself. No, she has 1 in herself. Person we had retired, the person after that retired, 25 years, 30 years, and 40 years, the district manager. So we're a community that's been around for a long time and we stick to each other very well. Also in regards to board members filling in, we use non-board members. And what we do with the non-board members, and we put them in committee, and we make sure that they want to represent the community and the constituents that live in the community, because it's easy to be on the board and stand around and then don't come to the meetings. And then we have quorums and important things that go on. And I'm very tight with people coming to meetings. I go to every meeting. I don't care what it is. So we want to make sure we represent our community in whatever way we need. So I just want to tip my hats to these managers, man. I just don't know. I don't get paid. I'm volunteer, but I just don't know how they do it. They should be doing something else. Because if the city agencies are not listening to them, if the elected officials, we bring them and they're not listening to them and we vote for them, something needs to be done. And it needs to be done right away. We really need to get the services we need to help this community. You call 311, and by the time 311 comes, it's unfounded. Guess what I do? The manager calls me, I go to the location, I take a picture, make sure, and send it out, and make sure that they get the services. That's what we need to do to represent our community. Thank you.
Well, I did say that Brooklyn has the best, right? So, I'm going to say publicly, my partnership with my district managers, Mrs. Spitzer is one of them, is incredible. We do talk late at night and on weekends, Sean Campbell as well. And, I was whispering to Gail before that the best district managers are the ones who know that the job doesn't end at 5 o'clock. And I know that in my neighborhood, it doesn't. And Mr. Camacho, it doesn't get paid. He's the chair. And, this is what we're talking about when we say that, community boards are treated as the stepchild of municipal government. It is not subservient to any other agency. It is not subservient to any other elected official. It's true that you district managers are appointed by people who are themselves appointed by people who are elected, but notwithstanding, you're an independent city agency, just like any other agency that operates based on appointments, whether it's the CCRB or the panel for educational priorities, or the campaign finance board, or the taxi and limousine commission. Once you are appointed, you are independent, and you are supposed to be able to run your agencies. So I'm going to ask the same question that I asked the previous panel with regard to your interactions with agencies and whether or not you feel that they communicate what they're about to do before they do it in time to stop them if they're about to do something, folks know that I'm frank, stupid, in the neighborhood. Do they communicate sufficiently with your boards?
Go ahead.
Well, my district manager said it nice to you. I'm going to say no, they don't. They come, I think, already planned and what they want to hear and how they want to hear, and that's not what we want. I make sure that whoever city agency is there to make sure that their interest is regarding the community and not in regards to themselves or whoever handpicked puppet they got in there to do what they have to do. I don't get paid. I really don't care. So I'm going to tell them how I feel. And I had lived in my community all my life, and I have seen the change. And we made the change from what it is. We were called crackheads and dope fiends. Now everybody want to come there and push us away and remove us from the place that we were born and raised in. I used to play with rocks in the lots. And now they got basketball hoops, and that don't mean anything to me. What I mean is the people that's in the community that made the community what it is. And we really need to have elected officials and agencies that are going to support us and give us the help that we need, the old and the new. Because history repeats itself. Just because the old person is there and he's no longer there doesn't mean he's not worth anything. And we really need to pick up our people and make sure that the agencies do what they're supposed to be doing, is listening to us, the community at large, regardless.
I will just add that we find that many agencies come to us already with a finished product. They don't come to us for input. When they do come, in the event they can. So for certain agencies, we used to do public hearings and committee meetings. But for certain agencies right now, we just let them present to the board because they're not really coming to hear the opinion of our board members. So we just let them present to the board, and because we know that they're not really looking for input.
Is it more like they're just checking the box that they already have this fleshed out plan and they just need to be able to say that they came to the community board, so they show up and, you know, spend an hour with you and then go back, and they're able to just say they did it, but they don't actually take the concerns back and revise these things?
Right, it's basically a formality at the point that they do come to us, and I'll just point to what Jeremy brought up. When they wanted to do the 7th and 8th Avenue, the changing of the directions, the boards were like, why are you not coming and talking to us? Oh, we came, we talked, and none of us knew about the meeting, so they just selected a few businesses that they knocked on the door, and that was sufficient in their eyes on what community outreach means. And again, we were not involved in the drawing of the plans, and as Camacho mentioned regarding outdoor restaurants, the same thing. We kept being told we're going to include the community boards in the rulemaking process, but we were never involved in the rulemaking process. And look at the results of that. What happened? So no, agencies just basically come to us to just check a box, as you said, council member, and that to be able to say that we did community engagement.
Thank you very much.
I don't call it a box. I call it nonsense. Because when you're turning around and you're doing opposite than what the community wants, you're not doing your job. And that's what it is. People need to do their job and listen to the people that put them in place to do their job. And if they're not going to do it and not going to listen to us, then why we're here? You know, we make recommendations, and before you know it, they change things. As we said, for instance, I'm going to give you an example for parks. They did a beautiful park. They left a 2-foot fence. Now people are paying $1.3 million in a residential block that there's a park in. Now they're skating at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, and you hear the skates. Oh, this ain't Milwaukee. People are gonna jump over that fence, do what they have to do. And I know you guys heard of a young kid fell on the train tracks in the back on Bushwick side and someone passed away. We told them, raise that fence. We told them people are gonna jump over that fence and something's gonna happen. You think they listen to the board? Kid lost his life. Is that what we want? City agencies don't listen to us. Why are we here for? Why?
Couldn't agree more. Thank you very much, Chair Camacho. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you both for your testimony.
Thank you. We'll now be moving to Zoom panelists, and I'll be calling on panelists one by one. First, we'll be hearing from Jeremy Hussein Warnecki, followed by Jesus Perez, and then Melinda Perkins. Jeremy Hussein Warnecki, you may begin upon the sergeant's announcement.
You may begin.
Jeremy, it appears you're unmuted, but we cannot hear you.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
All right, great. Thank you. Sorry about that. I had every intention of being here in person today. Unfortunately, someone or something else, let's just say, had other plans. Good morning, council members, and thank you to you and your staff for holding this hearing today. My name is Jeremy Warnicki, and I've been the district manager of Bronx Community Board 11 for the past 12 years. I'm currently the longest active serving DM in the Bronx. Prior to that, I'd worked for City Council member James Vaca, who himself was a district manager for 25 years. I'm also going to use the CB acronym for Community Board and EEO for Equal Employment Opportunity throughout my testimony. My written testimony, of course, is longer than my verbal one. In addition to my background, which I provide in my written testimony, more about my background, and the fact that my colleagues here citywide asked me to testify today. I will start with 2018 was the first year that Community Board or CB staff were required to take individual computerized EEO training. And in taking that training, a scenario came across my computer screen, which had played out in my office just 2 years prior to that. I was not the only one who noticed. A member of my staff, who was the recipient of hostile sexist remarks by a CB member, also recognized the scenario, pointed out to me during their training. Unfortunately, the matter did not end there. In 2019, I was compelled to file several EEO complaints because I too was discriminated against based on my sex and familial status by the same CB member. In 2020, the New York State Division of Human Rights investigated my complaints and determined, quote, probable cause, end quote, which led to the removal of the CB member days before what would have been their uncontested re-election for first vice chair. Things should have never gotten to that point, which is why I'm passionate about the subject of mandatory trainings for volunteer public servants, also known as CB members. They should be required to undergo the same training all CB staff are required to take. And ideally, not the exact same training, although something's better than nothing. Just a reminder that there are close to 3,000 seats citywide, potentially every year, to be filled by community board members. And because they're not city employees, they're volunteer supervisors, employers. Ideally, any type of training that is mandated of them is geared towards that or tailored towards that. As you know, some of you yourself have served as CB members, council members. Many members, prior to assuming their position, they do not have management experience. And even though sexual harassment training prevention is required many CB members, not been required all of them. Ideally, it would be in addition to the EEO and diversity training and LGBTQ training, which CB staff are required to take or have been required to take within the past 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll be hearing from Jesus Perez, followed by Melinda Perkins, and then Susan Stetzer. Jesus Perez, you may begin upon the sergeant's announcement.
You may begin.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to testify before you today. My name is Jesus Perez. I am the district manager of Manhattan Community Board 6. I'm testifying today on behalf of CB6 Chair Kyla Thied, who couldn't be with us today. I'd like to offer confirmation on some of the thoughts that you've heard this morning and to echo the testimony of my colleagues. You've heard that there's confusion about what all the various agencies do to help community boards. I'm not surprised because of all the various agencies out there, the CEC, CAU, OTI, the 5BP's offices, as well-intentioned as they may be, none of them have supporting community boards as their main job. That is not a recipe for success. There needs to be one entity whose main job it is to support community boards. You heard that community board facilities are inadequate for properly holding hybrid meetings. This is right. Community boards have been expressing this for years. You've heard about the need to amend the antiquated open meetings law and that CBs need increased budgets and more assistance in finding meeting spaces. This is right. Community boards have been expressing this for years. You've heard about the lack of funding that keeps boards understaffed. This is right. Community boards have been expressing this for years. You're hearing a lot about hybrid meetings in this hearing because 3 years into the pandemic, having a virtual attendance option is expected by both members and the general public. Going backwards on this would be an unconscionable disservice to the everyday citizens in New York. But holding hybrid meetings well is not always easy to accomplish, and community boards must do it with underfunded district offices minimal technology, and dwindling options for outside venues in which to hold large meetings, since the city does not provide the vast majority of community boards with dedicated meeting space. Manhattan Community Board 6's position is that we need to make sure it remains legal for community boards to continue meeting completely on Zoom even after Mayor Adams' COVID executive orders expire, and that every community board should be able to do the same if resources don't allow them to adequately ensure a proper hybrid option. You've heard in earlier testimony that currently our ability to meet remotely is very ad hoc and month to month. That is no way to run an agency for the people of New York. And as you know, the open meetings law and the ability to meet on Zoom is a matter for the state legislature. And CB6 has been advocating to our state elected officials for a modernization of the open meetings law. But the support of United City Council would be immensely helpful to amplify our voices about this urgent need. Until the city hears community boards' calls for increased budget, meaningful tech support, and adequate meeting spaces, meeting virtually helps us fill that gap. Please help us keep it. Thank you for your attention today.
Thank you. Next, we'll be hearing from Melinda Perkins, followed by Susan Stetzer, and then Noel Hidalgo. Excuse me. Melinda Perkins, you may begin when the sergeant calls time.
Time starts now.
Greetings, Chair Ung and members of the Governmental Operations Committee, council members, and thank you all for the opportunity to testify alongside fellow district managers and members of the Future of Community Boards Working Group. My name is Melinda Perkins, and I'm a proud district manager of Brooklyn Community Board 5, which services over 183,000 residents in the neighborhoods of East New York, Cypress Hills, New Lots, Spring Creek, and parts of Highland. We're also serving in the district alongside the 37th and 42nd council members who are represented by council districts who are represented by Sandy Nurse and Charles Barron. Our board is filled with active volunteers who head organizations, tenure in city agencies, active union reps, business professionals, and they also provide leadership in associations and coalitions throughout the district. Our current chair also serves as the co-chair of New York City's Gun Violence Prevention Task Force. So our membership, like other boards across the city, is filled with people who truly care and fight for safety, empowerment, and the overall betterment of our great community. I was hired into the district office in 2016, and prior to that, I served as a board member of Brooklyn Community Board 5. So as a board member, I know firsthand that there is a serious need for ongoing training and support to keep members abreast and prepared. In that regard, my testimony today will be focused on the importance of board member training and support. But I do want to say for the record that I thank my previous DMs and Chair Camacho for highlighting the needs of our district offices, because it is a major priority as well. Community board membership, as you all know, comprises of up to 50 appointed volunteers who serve on 59 boards across the city. These volunteers, however, are held to a higher standard to ensure connection to local government. They're bound by New York City Charter mandates, including laws on meeting protocols, ULURP procedures, and so much more. They render votes and submit resolutions on decisions that directly impact budget, agency policy, local business operations, as well as zoning and development projects that shape the very fabric of communities across the city. Therefore, this body of up to 2,950 New York City advocates must be rewarded for their volunteerism with ongoing effective training and support. The application process for community board membership can vary from borough to borough, with interviews and so on that were spoken about earlier this morning. However, the board member orientation process is pretty much stamped across 59 boards. This is where board members are officially sworn in and receive on-board procedures. The orientation process needs to be expanded to include a sufficient amount of training courses to adequately prepare the members for the role they will play.
Time expired.
My time is up, but I just wanted to mention that those trainings should be implemented during the orientation process, and I will submit my written testimony. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll be hearing from Susan Stetzer, followed by Noel Hidalgo, and then Mark Diller. And if there's anyone at this point who hasn't heard their name called and is on the Zoom, please use the Zoom raise hand function. We'll call on you at the end. Susan Stetzer, you may begin when the sergeant calls time.
You may begin.
Thank you. My name is Susan Stetzer, and I'm District Manager for Manhattan Community Board 3. I want to thank you for this opportunity to share concerns. Community boards serve their communities often beyond what time and budget reasonably allows, and we are fortunate now to also be part of Future of Community Boards, a citywide network of DMs. The boards encourage and facilitate community input into decision-making for their communities. We are the best bang for the buck when we are able to partner with agencies. We know the unique needs of our community, and working together makes us more effective. Unfortunately, there is less partnership and collaboration than previously between CBs and agencies. Other DMs are testifying on specific issues. I will note some miscellaneous challenges. The boards always need 45 days to schedule an agenda item for public input and to vote on comments. And the standard, as for ULURP, is 60 days. Recently, DOT set a 30-day period for open street, which effectively prohibits public input. This is a particular concern as DOT will soon be setting procedures for open restaurants. CBs have not been at the table as previously for planning. For example, businesses are at the table to plan for permanent open restaurants, as they should be. CBs should also be there to brief on issues. This would help diffuse the divisiveness that now exists. Another example is we've previously been part of roundtables and discussion on homelessness, which no longer happens. The budget consultations were not as productive this year, and the Manhattan boards are requesting a debriefing with OMB and DCP, and the Future of Community Boards is attempting to work with agencies to resolve. Previously, OMB staff always worked with boards to set up a process. We did not have input this year, and support for district level consultations was diminished, as was support in general from the agency. Many CBs listed increase in baseline budgets for CBs. We have not had a significant increase since 2014. My board has lost staff to other agencies that pay better. Our technology has increased since COVID. Hybrid meetings have been mentioned, and this will be an ongoing technology expense. There's not equity among boards on available resources. When term limit kicks in, boards will lose institutional knowledge and expertise, and it'll be up to the CB offices to play an enhanced role as resources for the board. This can be supported by supporting funding for the Civic Engagement Commission. And I'd also like to note on the previous discussions on language support, some agencies do provide translations for presentations. DCAS always does, DHS does. Other agencies don't.
Time expired. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll be hearing from Noel Hidalgo, followed by Mark Diller. And again, if there's anyone else who's waiting and hasn't heard their name called, please use the Zoom raise hand function. Noel Hidalgo, please begin when the sergeant calls time.
You may begin.
Hi, good morning or good afternoon. Thank you for creating an option for us to participate remotely. We believe that remote participation tools are fundamentals for government in the digital era. Early in the COVID-19 pandemic, community boards and borough presidents turned to Beta NYC to learn how to do remote meetings. In partnership with Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer, Beta NYC stood up a centralized online meeting solution and was conducting virtual meeting trainings before DoIT had even selected a platform. Within a few weeks of the pandemic, Manhattan community boards were conducting monthly meetings and sharing important pandemic-related information long before DoIT's official solutions for community boards was rolled out. Once it was rolled out, several boards turned to Beta NYC for alternative solutions. For the past 8 years, Beta NYC has been working out of the Manhattan Borough President's office, and we have provided frontline technical, analytical, and staffing support to borough presidents and community boards. We've outlined very clear needs and have deployed prototypes to address these needs. Every year, we advocate for our community of over 5,000 members to join their local community board. We come to you today with a deep understanding of how community boards and their staff are underfunded, under-resourced, and ill-prepared to work in the 21st century. I am now going to briefly summarize some of my written remarks. We fundamentally believe that each borough president should get a $500,000 boost in funding to provide district offices and boards technical support to ensure that community board websites are kept up to date and virtual meetings are supported. This also includes that ongoing training is conducting and a small amount of money is available for external organizations to provide support for boards and their district offices. We fundamentally believe that there should be a unified baseline process for appointments. This should be across the city. This process should be digital, accessible, and well-resourced with staff time. Current toolkit from Microsoft at OTI is inadequate for this process. While we respect each board's ability to have their own attendance tracking record, it is not unified across the city. This has a significant impact on reappointments, and New York City needs to have a standardized attendance tracking system across all 59 community boards. The 8-year term limits, which we think are too short, are going to significantly affect expertise, capacity, and community knowledge. We need clear guidelines and tools on how that term-limited board members can share their institutional and community knowledge across generations. Every borough president has a huge opportunity to shape how agencies respond to community needs, and it should go beyond having agency representatives attend borough service cabinets. There should be a citywide practice where the borough statement of needs, the mayor's management report, and borough service cabinets are connected together through data-driven reports. Now, in regards to recommendations on boards and district offices, with much respect to district office staff, many of them are not
Time
trained
expired.
to deal
Thank
with the
you.
complexities with digital government. With that being said, we hope that each board can apply and receive at least $150,000 to $200,000 renewable grant so that way they can expand their digital and data literacy development. We also hope that district service cabinets can also be data driven so that way each agency can be held accountable directly inside of each community district, and that gets fed up to the borough service cabinet. Many other things to say about how technology, data, and design can be used to strengthen community boards, and I encourage you to read our written statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll be hearing from Mark Diller. Mark Diller, you can begin when the sergeant calls time.
You may begin.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Chair Ong and council members, for the opportunity to address you. I am both the newest and perhaps I'm the newest DM on this panel for sure. I'm only a month into my service, but I've been serving for the last 15 years as a member of a different community board, and I'm a former chair. So I hope that I have useful observations from both sides of the aisle, as it were, in terms of how this is all working. I will try to add without repeating what it is that my colleagues have offered here and in the previous panels about the need for additional resources. As most of us are painfully aware, it is relatively easy to hold a meeting in person. It is relatively easy at this point to hold a meeting on Zoom, but it is still enormously challenging to do both at the same time. It requires more resources than perhaps even I anticipated, because those resources must include the technology, the devices, as it were. It also requires the staffing, and it requires, to some extent, consultants, especially where, as has been previously highlighted, many of us have to rely on outside venues which have varying and differing Wi-Fi and capacity for in-house audio and staffing and so forth. This very meeting has, I believe, at least 3 cameras operating simultaneously so that we can see the panelists, the council members, and at times the entire council chamber. That in turn requires staffing that someone's got to toggle between those cameras and so forth, so a director is involved. This is not a frivolous ask. This is a necessity for us. As someone who has held a Zoom meeting and chaired a Zoom meeting with 1,300 people in it, I'm painfully aware of just how difficult meeting the public's expectations going forward will be. While it is up to the state legislature to determine when the council members need to be in person. The public won't sit for requiring us to go back to attending in person. So I guess the focus of my request is that there is additional resources that are needed. We're grateful for this opportunity to speak to you about it. Those resources also need to be, I echo the thoughts of our colleagues who taught me what Zoom is over at Beta NYC about having a uniform platform so that what used to be a data-driven, what used to be a paper-driven process can now be a digital-driven process so that we can truly engage the public and meet them where they are. That's our calling. That's what we're here to do. And I respectfully request that we be given the tools in which to do it. I yield my time and thank you very much for your opportunity to be speaking to you.
Thank you. And I see no further hands raised on the Zoom. So Chair Ung, I'll turn it over to you to close us out.
I want to thank all of you for your testimony today and for your service to our communities. It is deeply appreciated. And I look forward to talking to all of you in the near future about all the issues and discussions that we had today. Thank you.